none of us in here can be considered traditional women. And back then, an average guy could get a traditional woman. And now what does he get? He gets a boss bitch, a boss babe, a girl that's been ran through. He gets an ex-hoe. He gets a born-again virgin. Like,
what do
this
I
is,
get?
as women,
Yeah.
this is what do we get? We still get protection and provisioning.
Are you sure?
And
And
the
men don't get
average
the
the average
that they be
salary,
looking for.
the average.
I'm not.
I mean, okay,
let's
but
get
here's the
settlement.
thing: the average salary could cover an apartment. But the thing is, like, women, we want this lifestyle that's not even realistic nowadays. Like, we want men that make more than we do, and we want them to pay all of the bills. But it's like, we all have our nails done. We have, we get our hair dyed. We have makeup. We have all of this stuff that costs money because we want this lifestyle. And I've had girls come on my show, and I say, would you date an average guy for companionship? But you would have to go down in lifestyle. And they say, no, we're addicted to lifestyle.
The joke is on them now, because even average guys don't want these entitled women anymore.
So, I'm sure this won't do well because I'm literally in bed and there's no lighting, but this is a thought I've been having a lot today, and I just want to see what the world thinks about it, honestly. And if the world is 10 people, I want to know what you think about it, okay? Have we taken the man hatred too far? Now, hold up. Really hear me out here. Because I just think that men our age, and I'm 27, so Gen Z to millennial, right? They were raised by really bad men. And did we ever give them a chance, is my question. And maybe we did, and I could totally be wrong. But I just, oh, you guys hear my cat. I just really think that, I think men's suicide rate is 3 times to 4 times as much as women's. I think we put them in a box and we're not letting them out. And I'm worried about them. And you may be thinking, like, who needs to worry about the white men or the men in general? And maybe we don't, but because the world does grant them a lot of privilege. I will acknowledge that. But I think the privilege was mostly to their dads, right? And like maybe the 40-year-olds, 30-year-olds, etc. But I feel like our generation, they were raised in a generation that like they didn't have a chance. Like what, like I really do think that men are all grouped into categories, and there's probably about 6 acceptable categories. 3 straight ones, 3 gay ones, or maybe like a non-binary in there as well. But like otherwise, they don't really get to express themselves. There's like very little communities that they can be a part of that are actually healthy. We've got the frats, we've got anime, we've got the gamers, and then we've got like flamboyant gay and like subdued gay. And maybe I'm being so stereotypical right now, but I think it's so real that they have to fall into these stereotypes, or otherwise they're just completely like exiled and isolated. And maybe it's because I'm a girl and I haven't seen the sides of TikTok that are for healthy men to be a part of. But I know like probably 2, 3 good guy friends of mine. They're pan and they're pretty like gender conforming to the male stereotype, but I don't know where they're supposed to fit in this world. Because they were told for so long that expressing their feelings and their emotions was so wrong that in guy circles, I don't think they're doing that anymore. And it's just such a shame because half of the population is not bad. They just didn't have the right tools and they didn't have the right examples. And I just worry about it.
The man-hating was taken too far 10 years ago. What you see now are all the consequences of your own actions.
Where are all the good men? If you a good man, please step to the front. And if you wondering about us good women, we're around. I mean, we probably at home. We'll come out, do what we got to do. We mind our own business, and then we right back at home. So if you happen to run into one of us good women, you better think fast, okay? Because it might be a missed opportunity.
As a single woman, I'm getting a little worried when I scroll on this app that like all of the good single men, 30-year-olds and up, or near that range, they are, if they're single, they're staying inside and doing exactly what I would want to do, which is like binge a show and like order and take out. Like why when I'm scrolling, I'm seeing all these like cute men who look like they have their head on their shoulders. They probably don't. Let's just be fucking real. But they're all like staying inside. Like What I'm trying to do is text a girlfriend and be like, hey, you know what? Instead of me cuddling into bed and binging all of Real Housewives, let's go out. Because I'm just hoping that one day, like, I meet my husband, like, meet cute randomly. Like, I gotta go out and do that, right? I have to, like, actually put myself out there. I have to actually do my makeup and, like, put on a cute outfit and do that, you know? Crazy concept. But I have a fear that all of the good single 30-year-old men are doing the opposite. Hey, get out there. Please. Stop ordering takeout by your fucking self and wait for me to be there with you to do it, okay? Fuck, literally, I don't... Probably gonna run into a douchebag. Pray for me.
We tried in our 20s. We'll die alone and content. We literally don't want to be bothered anymore now. It's that simple.
63% of men under 30 are single, and more than half of them aren't even trying to date. Why do you think that is? What do you think the root cause of that is?
And I feel like a lot of younger men that are single, that aren't even trying, they don't want to dedicate the time. They want to build their business. They want to make it to the gym. They want to travel. They want to do it. And you know what? Finding a real relationship is work. It's not that they can't get dates. It's that they can't get the right ones.
If you're not 6 feet tall and ticking all the boxes, forget it. Dating is a waste of time. Modern standards have made the game nearly impossible for average men.
There was a study called from the Pew Center Research conducted a study that said 63% of men under age 30 would rather stay home and watch porn than go on a date. Men say they are getting their needs met without having to go on a date. Would men rather stay single than be with a woman is the question.
That's what they're saying, pretty much.
63% of men.
I think they're cheap.
Yeah, they just ain't got no money.
They don't have money, which you should get your money up before you start dating. So it is cheaper to sit home and beat your meat than actually go out and find actual women to hang out with.
That's a sad reality.
I disagree.
Why? What do you think?
Is it less of a headache to have to deal with a woman or something?
There it goes. Like, it's a headache. Now I got to take you out. I got to hear what you had to tell your whole day.
That's why you take out people you actually like, and then you don't feel that.
Yeah, but then I got to get to know you first to like you, right?
Yeah.
So how do I get to know you?
Call on the phone.
So you rather hand?
Hey, listen, I'm married.
Hey, you always gotta say.
Okay, so
if you wasn't married,
I'd probably beat him. I mean, 100 miles an hour.
This right here is why we don't want to date. Women demand attention, commitment, and cash. But men know staying home beats entitlement, drama, and disrespect. Checked out, no reward, just headaches.
Why aren't men getting married anymore? It's not because they hate love or they're against love. It's because the system is actually stacked against them. In 1960, 72% of adults were married, and today it's barely 50%. And among men under 30, it's pretty much nowhere. Here's why. Divorce courts, they'll take all of the man's money, they'll take the kids, they'll take the house. 90% of child custody goes to women, and men pay millions in child support and alimony every year. Then there's the happy wife, happy life culture where men sacrifice everything to keep the peace. Meanwhile, if a man wants traditional roles, it's labeled as toxic. So men naturally ask themselves, what is the upside? And for a lot of guys, there isn't one. It's not that men in general hate commitment. They hate commitment to a system that is designed to punish them for existing. Till marriage becomes a partnership and not a legal liability, men will continue to keep saying, no thanks. Do you think men are right to walk away from the thought of marriage?
Marriage is like going to a casino where you know you're never going to win, and you're guaranteed to come out penniless. It's not fun anymore.
You know, the reality is most guys nowadays have kind of given up on the idea of marriage because we realize that it's really just one big trap. There's nothing in it for us. We take all the risk, and all the benefit is on the female side.
I would say, why change something that is good? You're in a relationship. Why are you going to get married? It's going to get worse. There's going to be more financial tension. Weddings are expensive as it is. Divorce rates are alarmingly high. And once you're married, you are at the mercy of that woman's expectations Forget about that. Hell no.
Yeah, plus it's going to get to a point where you're both going to get bored of each other. She has the freedom to leave, but you don't.
No, I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to be stuck and see my future with her and my future personally go down the drain. Pretty much, because she can screw you over at a snap of a finger.
Exactly.
Thank you all for sharing your stories, your perspectives, your thoughts on this. I've learned a lot in the past 7 hours, and in fact, I have done nothing but read comments for the last 3, and I actually can't keep up with them anymore. So I wanted to just give a read back on what it is I'm hearing so that you know you're heard. I think this is how green screens work. I'm new to TikTok. I don't know. This is my masterful diagram, and you can go ahead and make fun of me for it because I know you're going to anyway. Nothing particularly surprised me in the responses except for dismissal. This one was really eye-opening, and we'll go from left to right, so bookmark that for a moment. Overall, thank you for providing a very clear answer to my question, and it also left me with another question, a bigger question, which I'll save until the end. But the overarching consensus is that it's not worth it. It's not worth it. There is a low return on investment. The risk to reward profile is not worth it, especially because 50% of marriages end in divorce, and that is particularly unfavorable to men because 50% of assets, the court system skews more toward women, especially when it comes to things like child custody. Hand in hand with divorce was betrayal and heartbreak, and there were a lot of stories of people who had been cheated on, stories of men who their person, their wife, their girlfriend just got up and left. And so this was kind of within the context of a relationship, but then there was also this, which is just the general dynamic between men and women. So men feeling as though women hate men, men feeling rejected by women, and then men feeling dismissed, but specifically like around them trying to voice their opinions or their feelings and women just dismissing it. And what I found really interesting about that is that that's exactly what was happening in some of the comments. I will say very few women actually commented, even though they were watching and liking the video, and I think that's because we're listening. But there were absolutely some strays in the comments invalidating men's experiences and feelings. Within the last hour, more and more people were bringing up things relating to traditional values. And so I think what happened is TikTok started to push this more toward conservative Christian. And so people were talking more about the shift, we'll say, in Western values. I also find it super funny that the first video that kind of did some numbers the other day, it got pushed mostly to women and liberal. And today this got pushed entirely toward men for obvious reasons, but also conservative, like two totally different swaths of people. And I love that. I love that because I think we all need to get along better. And on that note, the undercurrent in all of this is fear. There's other things mixed up in there too, right? But it's interesting to me that fear underpins a lot of this, and it's the same thing for women, which tells me that, hey, we're not so different at the end of the day. And while this has answered my question regarding how men feel about marriage, it's given rise to a whole new question, which is, how do we heal the rift? Because I get that marriage is not essential and we can all find happiness and fulfillment and peace in our own company, and that's a wonderful thing. And at the same time, I feel like we're not actually happy with the state of things, especially judging by like the anger and the grief in the comments. So I don't know. I don't have any solutions at the moment. I'm still kind of...
Men are done explaining themselves. They've spoken loud and clear. Marriage today feels like a trap, not a partnership. They give everything and end up broken, dismissed, or betrayed. Society mocks their pain, courts punish their trust, and women call it growth. It's not fear, it's realization. Men have finally learned their worth and walked away.
The society we're creating right now, more and more men don't want to get married. And I get why. There is almost zero upside for men getting married. This isn't me saying that men shouldn't get married, or women, but think about what society is telling men about what being a man is. Tell about society is fucking men hardcore for getting married. If you get married and you get divorced, a woman takes 50% of whatever you have. 80% of relationships, the man is the biggest provider. So that's a big fuck right off the bat. What are you getting in exchange for that? Second, if you have kids with her, you're fucked, because the government doesn't think that you deserve shit. So even good dads who try to stay in the kid's life are fucked. So there's a lot of men going, Why the fuck would I do this? The good news is that will correct itself, because eventually then people start going, oh, right? When you create mistakes, you only create more error. Error creates more error. So we've gone so far the other direction that more and more men are going like, why the fuck would I get married?
We just don't have a lot of faith in it. We don't. A lot of times when we get married, it's because our woman wants to be married. Let's just put it on the table. Most men don't wake up aspiring to be in a marriage. That's just not how that goes. Is we dating a woman, we love this woman, we can't picture life without this woman. She values marriage highly. We cool with it. Okay, let's go on and get married. A lot of times when we talk to people who've been married that long, a lot of times they bitter within their own goddamn marriage. So let's just put it on the table. You got guys saying, hey, man, you can stay single as long as you can, man. When you're getting this, man, all that's going to die down. All that little fun stuff y'all do, that's over with. That's the narrative that a lot of men is getting, right? It's not the, hey, man, this is how you navigate through that. Y'all can still be happy, but you got to do this. You got to do that. You got to communicate. You got to be on the same page. You got to leave your ego at the door. Mm-hmm. That's not the tutelage that a lot of us is getting. So a lot of us got to find that out the hard way.
Men don't dream of marriage. They settle into it because it's what she wants. Most learn the hard way that love alone isn't enough. The freedom, peace, and spark fade, replaced by duty and loss of self. Older men warn the younger ones, stay single, protect your sanity. Marriage today feels more like surrender than partnership.
So I would love to get married again, but now it seems like men don't want to get married anymore. Like, why is this?
I'm not even going to fiddle fuck around with this. I'm just going to give you the straight answer I hope you're looking for. And that answer is that there are two main reasons why men don't want to get married anymore. Now, both these reasons are based upon the man being successful, which is the kind of guy you ladies want to marry anyway. And those reasons are, one, it's statistically idiotic to do it. And two, a successful man gains absolutely nothing except risk by getting married. So let's quickly dive into each of them. So for one, it's statistically stupid for a successful man to get married. Because right off the bat, 60% of marriages end in divorce, with more than 85% of those divorces being initiated by the wife. And let's be real, not everybody who's unhappy actually gets divorced. So we could probably throw another 10% on top of that of people who just unhappy but stay together anyway. So that brings it to about 70% of marriages either end in divorce or stay married while they're unhappy. That's 7 out of every 10 marriages. Not to mention, on top of that, in cases where somebody's getting alimony, 97% of the time, it's the wife who's getting paid. Men receive alimony in only 3% of divorces. So statistically, it's fucking stupid. Like, would you do something that 7 out of every 10 times it's gonna end badly? Like, is there any activity where 7 out of 10 times there's a bad ending that I could convince you to do? Like, you gonna skydive with those odds? You gonna get on a train or a plane with those odds? I doubt that very much. And now to the second reason, being that a successful man gains absolutely nothing except risk by getting married. Now, women will argue with me on this and be like, well, he gets love, he gets caring, he gets me. Ladies, he already had that before he married you, or he never would have proposed. Like, are you telling me that before he married you, you didn't love him, you didn't care for him, you didn't cook, or you didn't clean, or you didn't show him affection? Are you telling me that you're waiting till marriage to sleep with him? I'm sure some of you are, but that's a tiny percentage. Yeah, so everything that he would get as a result of marrying you, he's already getting. So what does he get when he marries you? He gets risk. He takes the great relationship he had. He takes all the wonderful things, all the time you enjoy together. He gets to keep that, but now he's betting half his shit that it's going to work out. I'm going to say this right now. Marriages that stay together are not nearly as impressive as long-term relationships that stay together without marriage. Because even though a man may be unhappy in a marriage, it would be financially stupid a lot of the time for him even to get a divorce. Like, just the cost would be so unbelievably high. But people that are unhappy in a long-term relationship where they're not married, yeah, they can just break up. So when you stay together in a marriage, it's not always about love. When you stay together in a long-term relationship, that's because you care about each other. And let me just say that all this is coming from someone who would be perfectly fine getting married. But if you're gonna ask why most men aren't interested in it anymore, it's because it doesn't make any fucking sense for a successful guy to get married. You just take all the wonderful things about a relationship and you fucking add risk.
Divorce is legalized theft and extortion. If you were going skydiving knowing that 60% of the parachutes aren't going to open, would you still go? Didn't think so.
All right, gentlemen, it's an obvious statistical fact that 80% of divorces are filed by women. What's not a fact is why. The simple fact is it doesn't matter. People wonder why men don't want to get married anymore, and it's because the marriage rate is so unbelievably low, and there's no benefit to it whatsoever for us. None. We don't have a better option to stay with our kids if we're married or not married. We don't have a more likelihood to get custody. Not whatsoever. We don't have a more likelihood to gain anything from marrying our partner. Just more to lose. In a system where you have a 20% success rate. Now, I realize that it's supposed to be 50% of all marriages end in divorce, but I'm pretty sure that statistic is wrong. And it is 80% of women filing divorces, and that number goes up depending on how educated a woman is. Now, why is that? Why does that happen? Because quite simply, women believe and are told and telling each other that they don't need men. And that may be true, that you don't need a man to pay your bills and finances and things like that, and that's fine. But that's not how reality works, okay? You may not need men to do these things that they used to require, but you still need men, and that's the problem. And until you accept that fact, you're always going to be alone. That's it. You're always going to be alone. You need men. You need men to be there for you. You need men to support you. You need men to love you. You need men to care about you. That's what a heterosexual relationship is. You may not need him to pay your bills, and that's great. But you still need him. Funny thing is you don't hear men saying we don't need women. Because the truth of the matter is we know we do. And that's why women are filing for divorce, because they're telling each other they don't need men. So then they go out, you don't need him, you don't need a husband. Okay, well, I can get rid of him. Go out, have all this fun, hookup culture, and all this other stuff. Enjoy yourself, live your life, slay queen. And end up alone. With no one to care about you. When all you had to do was sit there and say, well, I don't need him financially, but I love having him around. I love spending time with him. I love the feeling I get when I'm with him, and the appreciation that I put into him, and the appreciation he puts into me. That's all it takes. But it's up to you. You don't need men. Then don't complain when you're in your 30s and 40s and men don't want you. It's that simple. You don't need men. We don't want you. Men like to feel needed. We like to feel appreciated. And in a society where we don't, why the hell would we want anything to do with you? It's not a complicated concept. If you just take 2 seconds to really think about it.
Men are finally waking up. Marriage offers them no real gain, just risk, loss, and rejection. Women say they don't need men, but still expect loyalty, love, and commitment from the same ones they dismiss. Men see the pattern now. They give everything, end up drained, divorced, and forgotten. So they're choosing peace over paperwork, freedom over manipulation, and purpose over validation. When men stop feeling needed, they stop showing up. Simple as that.
There are way more single men under 30 than women. A Pew study revealed that 63% of men under 30 are single, while only 34% of women are single as well, which is a 12% increase for men from 2019, and only a 2% increase for women. There are also 5 million more women in the United States than men, and globally women are younger than their male partners, which could be a reason for the disparity. So why are more men single now? One psychologist says it's due to social media and watching naughty videos, and that men are getting their needs met without going out. And on the other side, women don't need to be in long-term relationships. They don't need to be married. They'd rather go out to brunch with friends than on a horrible date. But what about something in the middle? One psychologist says that we're in a crisis of connection and disconnecting from ourselves and each other, which sounds kind of familiar when you add up all the other societal decay caused by social media. But if we don't have social media, where else are we going to argue about toxic masculinity and feminism?
Men crave peace, calm, and no drama. Yet women keep bringing chaos into everything, treating brunch and social antics as priorities. Men aren't chasing chaos, they're building lives. No wonder they check out, leaving women shocked and clueless.
63% of men under the age of 30 are choosing to be single. The reality is they live in a culture where they kind of get what they want without having to be married. So they're like, why should I make that level of commitment? Everybody still desires to find someone special. They still want to have intimacy. They still want to feel loved and have a person who loves them unconditionally. So we can't look at this and say something's not working. If you do what most people do, you'll get what most people get.
For men, marriage today offers massive risk with minimal reward. The balance is completely skewed and not in their favor. Thanks for watching Manhood. If you want access to exclusive episodes and want to support the channel, hit that join button and become a member. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video if it hit home. Drop your stories and thoughts in the comments. We read everyone. See you tomorrow.